हमको लगता है सडनली उत्तर टूटा हुआ छानी ही नहीं.
One finite verb on its own.
The group of words that consists of one subject and one
Clause is a group of
called
By
clause.
one.
A clause is a group of words that has one subject and one finite verb of its own.
Ma'am, the group of words that consists of one subject and one finite verb of its own is called clauses.
Very good.
A clause is a group of words that has one subject and one finite verb of its own.
Very nice. Also, what can you give any example of clauses?
The girl is my neighborhood. The girl is the subject and is the finite verb.
Who is wearing a black dress? Who is subject and is wearing finite verb.
Very good. What is then? Tell me what is finite verb? I have taught. I think many times I have taught finite verb.
फाइनाइट वर्ब का तो मैम आज तक यही सुना मैम 2 + v1 मैम यही दोनों मैम मिलके फाइनाइट वर्ब बनाते हैं.
I have explained what is called finite verb.
Ma'am, a finite verb is a form of verb that has a subject and can function as the root of an independent clause.
Okay.
Finite verb is the helping verb.
Yeah. Good.
Ma'am, it is a form of verb that has a subject.
Form of verb that has a subject.
मैम जो कि सब्जेक्ट के साथ मैम एग्रीमेंट को शो करता है मैम.
Ma'am, the main verb.
हाँ, one who was telling subject के साथ agreement को show करता है. Can you explain a little bit more?
मैम
Finite verb is a verb that is guided by the number and person of its subject.
Ma'am, please mute everyone.
Yeah, I'm trying.
मैम किसी माइक से आवाज.
Yes, I'm going to mute everyone. You be so sensible. तुम लोगों को भी सेंसिबल होना चाहिए. So we were discussing about finite verb. Finite verb is a verb that is guided by the number and person of its subject. As suppose we say Ram eats an apple. Very simple. I'm rubbing these things and I'm going to start finite verb. I think I have discussed while teaching you people subject verb agreement. I have explained this concept earlier. So finite verb. Finite verb is a verb that is guided by the number and person of its subject. Blackboard is clear to everyone? Okay.
Yes मैम.
Yes, ma'am.
Last का नहीं दिख रहा है ना? Let me little bit. Now is it clear? Okay. Now,
मैम हल्का सा
Yes,
नीचे
ma'am.
कीजिए
waiting room.
मैम हल्का सा बोर्ड मतलब लैपटॉप नीचे कीजिए ना
और नीचे कर
मैम सही है मैम, उसका नेटवर्क प्रॉब्लम है, आ रहा है।
हाँ वही तो ये फुल स्क्रीन आ रहा है ब्लैक बोर्ड का तो
Yes, ma'am.
a few students were waiting so I'm just admitting them. There is a joining queue. More students are waiting. चलो now I am giving you example. Ram eats an apple. Okay. I am writing another sentence. Ram eats an apple. Which sentence is correct?
First one.
Ma'am,
Ram eats an apple.
First one.
First one is correct. How can you say that first one is correct and second one is wrong?
Ma'am, verb.
With third person S is used in verb.
Yeah, because we know that Ram subject over here is Ram, and Ram
Because
is
ma'am, here subject is singular and verb
Singular,
form should be also singular.
third person singular number, and we know that with singular number, third person singular number we use S or ES. So according to the rule, it is needed to add S with it. So this is what, and this is being guided by subject. Isn't it?
This
This verb is guided by its subject. Suppose that I make a little change in this sentence. Here it is written Ram, and I am adding Ram and Sham. Now, is the sentence correct?
No, ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
yes ma'am
It's correct
Yes, ma'am.
because Ram and Sham, Ram and
I
Sham
pull one.
plural. Ram alone was singular, but when we added Sham with Ram, it became plural. And we know that plural subject text as plural subject we don't add S or ES with plural number. What is plural number of he, she, it?
They and plural noun and number.
Plural number he, she, it is third person singular number, and third person plural number is they.
They.
So Ram and Sam, it can be replaced with they. Can you
Ma'am, background voice.
So a few students are there. If I will keep the gallery view, I can make out. When you background noise is there, don't unmute yourself. Okay, once again, I have muted everyone. So this concept is clear.
मैम एक बार नॉन फाइनाइट वर्ब बता दीजिए ना.
Non-finite verb we have. Actually, we have non-finite verb. and which chapter? Chapter number 8. Chapter number 8 is non-finite, and it will take, I think, 4 to 5 class to make you people understand. Now, non-finites are not guided by the number and person of its subject. Okay, in short, you just know that non-finite verbs are not guided by the number and person of its subject.
Ma'am, for example,
Three types of non-finites are there: gerund, participle, infinitive, and we will learn it later on when we will learn the chapter non-finite. Here we are discussing clauses and complex sentences. So now, is it clear? What is a clause? A clause is a group of words that has one subject and one finite verb of its own. Is it required to write on the blackboard?
No, ma'am.
Once again, I am repeating somewhere. Once again, a few students are in waiting room. First, I will admit them. Then I will mute everyone. Time and again it is required to admit. So, worksheet number 1. Look at the following sentence. Is it required to share screen, or you people have the book?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, we have book.
Okay, you people have the book, so no need to share screen.
Yes.
So the girl, worksheet number 1. Look at the following sentence. The girl who is wearing a black dress is my neighbor. The girl who is wearing a black dress is my neighbor. This sentence can be divided into 2 groups of words. Can it be? Can we make 2 different sentences?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
What will be these 2 different sentences?
The girl is my neighbor
who is wearing a black dress.
Very good. The girl is my neighbor who is wearing a black dress. This has been divided into 2 parts. And both of the sentences, both of the group of words can be said as clause. Isn't it?
Clutch.
Both are clauses. Now let us examine the above example again. The girl is my neighbor. Subject and finite verb.
The girl is subject and finite is.
Is finite verb because we have used is because the
ma'am, एक और doubt.
The subject is singular.
Subject is singular, so we had used singular verb, and that is. Yeah. Who is wearing a black dress?
Ma'am.
Yeah.
Who is the subject and is wearing is the finite verb.
Yeah. And now let us take another example. As I was driving, I saw a car following me. As I was driving, I saw a car following me. This sentence also can be divided into 2 groups of words in the.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. As I was driving, I
saw a car following me.
Very nice. As I was driving, I saw a car following me. And
मैम तो ये एकदम जरूरी ही है क्या ये क्लॉज में एक ही फाइनाइट वर्ब या एक ही सब्जेक्ट हो?
हाँ, यही तो क्लॉज दैट हैज वही तो क्लॉज हो जाएगा ना.
अगर मैम एक से ज्यादा सब्जेक्ट हुआ तो वो क्लॉज कहलाएगा या नहीं?
ये तो भी आगे पढ़ेंगे ना. We are supposed to read complex sentence also. Okay. And another type of simple sentence, compound sentence, and complex sentence. This also we have not, because it is not in your syllabus, so I have not explained. Whenever I will get some time, I will explain that also. Okay. So first, we should discuss this. Therefore, the sentence has two clauses. However, it can be noted that one clause makes a complete sense by itself, and the second clause adds more meaning to the first clause. It doesn't make complete sense by itself. Isn't it? Two types of sentences are there,
Yes, ma'am.
and one is making complete sense, another is not making complete sense. Clause, I saw a car following me. Makes complete sense.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes,
As
ma'am.
I was driving. If only you say, as I was driving, though it is a complete sentence, does it make meaningful sentence? Complete
No, ma'am.
meaning? It gives
No,
the
ma'am.
meaning. It adds
Ma'am,
something to the meaning, but it doesn't make complete meaning. Isn't it? Complete, yes, as I was driving. If you say as I was driving, what happened? This is the question.
मैम मैम एक क्लॉज और एक फ्रेज के बीच में अंतर क्या होगा?
आप phrase में verb नहीं होता है. That phrase is a group of words that gives some sense, not complete sense.
Makes sense.
It cannot be considered as a sentence. Every time I am supposed to admit you people, new to you people. So understood? As I was driving, it adds something to the meaning, but meaning of what? First line. I saw a car following me. If you say I saw a car following me, complete in itself. If you say as I was driving, I saw a car following me. Here, what happens? It adds when you saw a car following you. When you were driving. It added to the meaning, but it didn't give you the complete meaning. So, a clause that makes complete sense by itself is known as main clause.
Main clause.
Yeah. And the clause that depends on it for the meaning of its for its meaning is known as subordinate clause. What is known as subordinate clause?
Dependent clause.
The clause that depends on
another clause
for its meaning.
Yes. The clause that depends on the main clause for its meaning is known as
subordinated clause.
Subordinate clause. Let me enter a few students are in the waiting room.
मैम एक क्वेश्चन है.
हाँ बोलो.
मैम जो आप सेंटेंस में बोली एज आई वॉज ड्राइविंग आई सॉ अ कार फॉलोइंग मी, तो मैम ये दो अलग अलग सेंटेंस में डिवाइड होगा. तो मैम एज आई वॉज ड्राइविंग मैम फ्रेज हो सकता है?
Phrase is a group of words that gives some sense but not complete sense. तो ये
मैम ये भी तो मैम कुछ
लेकिन वहां पे ये नहीं होता है. Verb is not required over there. ये understood? Phrase group of, okay, I will give you some examples of phrase. Now, should we start the remember point is there, complex sentence. What is a complex sentence? Complex sentence is always made up of one main clause and one or more subordinate clause. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
What I was telling, simple sentence, compound sentence, and complex sentence.
Complex.
So now we are studying complex sentence. Complex sentence means one main clause and one or more than one
Subordinate clause.
Yes, means one independent sentence and at least one dependent sentence. Now worksheet number B. Read the sentences given below and write the clauses. Also mark the subject and finite verb in each clause. They stop when the sun sets. Independent. Which one is independent sentence?
They stopped.
Yeah.
They
They
stop.
stopped.
They stopped
Dependent.
When the
When
sun
the
sets.
sun sets.
when the sun set.
When the sun sets.
Very nice. There was a king who chose to live in a forest.
There was a king is an independent sentence.
sentences
Who
King
choose to live in a
choose to
forest
live
is a dependent
independent
sentence.
who
sentence.
chose
Who choose to live in a
is dependent.
forest.
Ma'am,
There
tell
was a
anyone
king.
to say.
Independent.
There was a king.
There was a king.
Huh.
There was a king.
Just
There was a king.
There was a king. It is independent and who chose to live in the forest. It is
It is dependent.
It is dependent. Next, and you are also supposed to mark the subject and finite verb in each clause. Is it very easy? Marking subject.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next, tell me how you completed the verb. Tell me.
Tell me
How-
the word is an
Ma'am,
independent
tell me
sentence.
the
How many completed the work
Dependent
is a dependent
sentence
sentence.
is you completed the work, and dependent is tell me how.
huh. No, you tell me.
The work is independent.
Yes, tell me independent and how
You
you
complete the work
completed
is
the
a
work.
How you completed the work
That
is
is
dependent.
independent. Sorry, that is dependent. Tell me is independent
Yes,
and
ma'am.
how you completed the work, that is independent.
It's dependent.
Sorry, it is dependent. How you completed the work dependent. It is first part, tell me. This is giving
Independent.
complete sentence. What to tell?
हम
How you?
टेल मी ना डिपेंडेंट होगा हम मतलब क्या बताना चाह रहा है ये कुछ दिया ही नहीं होगा अगर उसको सेपरेट करेंगे टेल मी तो मैम इसमें ये थोड़ी आगे बताया जा रहा है कि क्या बताना है लेकिन मैम जो दूसरा सेंटेंस बनेगा हाउ यू कंप्लीटेड द वर्क मैम इसका तो इंडिपेंडेंटली पूरा सेंस बन ही रहा है
Tell me means you are supposed to tell. What are you supposed to tell? How you completed the work. Understood? Any doubt? Okay. You try to go through the lines once again after the exam is over. Sorry, this class is over and still you have some problem, you can contact me or you can contact me on Wednesday. I will be resolving once again, but try to find the answer yourself. Because if you You may be having some doubt. Tell me how. So tell me is one sentence. How? Question mark means how did you do? Okay, next. The girl who was from Delhi won the crown.
Independent sentence is the girl won the crown, and dependent is who was from
Who was
Delhi.
from Delhi?
Very nice,
The
very nice.
the crown.
Next, the man whose car was stolen had to stay in the police station.
Ma'am,
Independent sentence. The man had to stay in the police
Man had to
station.
in the
And
police
dependent
station,
whose
and
car was
dependent is whose car
stolen.
was stolen.
car was stolen.
The man had to stay in the police station, that is independent. And which man whose car was stolen? Next. The movie that we saw was boring.
Independent
The movie
clause
was
is the
boring
movie that
and
was
dependent
boring.
that we saw.
Dependent clause is that we saw.
Yes.
And dependent that we saw.
That we saw.
Dependent that we saw. That we saw. And independent clauses, the movie was boring. Next, question number 7. You won't reach the school on time unless you hurry.
You
Independent clause is you won't reach
You
the school
won't
on
reach the
time,
school on
and
time or
dependent
dependent
clause is
unless you
unless you
hurry.
hurry.
unless you hurry.
Very good. Next, the bridge which was built a year back has collapsed.
The bridge has collapsed
The
is
bridge
independent clause,
has collapsed,
and
which was
which was
built
built
a
a year
year.
back is dependent clause.
Very nice. The bridge has collapsed in independent, which was built a year back, dependent. Next, if the guests are coming, the flat should be properly cleaned.
The
The
flat
flat
should be
should be
properly
properly
cleaned
cleaned
if
is
the guests
independent,
are
and
coming.
dependent clause is if the guests are coming.
Yeah. Next, points to be remembered. Who will read?
मैम एक सेंटेंस छूट गया है
Which one? Oh,
मैम द लेडी
the lady whom
मैम 8 number
8 number. The lady whom we saw yesterday is my neighbor.
The lady
The
is my
lady
neighbor
is my
is
neighbor.
independent. Whom we saw yesterday is dependent.
Very,
We saw yesterday.
very nice. Next, points to be remembered. Who will read?
Manvi,
Okay, Manvi, start.
a complex sentence is made up of main clause that is complete in meaning by itself and one or more subordinate clause that do not make complete sentence by themselves but provide extra information about another clause. Example, they stopped conveys complete meaning by itself. When the sun set does not make sense on its own but tells more about the bold words. Also remember the main clause does not always come in the beginning of a sentence. It can be either in the beginning as in sentence 1 or towards the end as in sentence 10 of, of a sentence. It can be split into parts as in sentence 4, 5, 6, 8 and 9. So be careful while locating the main clause.
Yeah. One more student, read it. Who will read?
Ma'am, can I ask this?
Yes. Start.
A complex sentence is made up of a main clause that is complete in meaning by itself and one or more subordinate clause that do not make complete sense by themselves but provide extra information about another clause. Example, they stopped when the sun set. They stopped conveys complete meaning by itself. When the sun set does not make sense on its own but tells more about the bold words. Also remember, the main clause does not always come in the beginning of a sentence. It can be either in the beginning, as in sentence 1, or towards the end, as in sentence 10 of a sentence. It can be split into parts, as in sentence 4, 5, 6, 8, and 9. So be careful while locating the main clause.
Very good. Someone else?
Ma'am Pavni.
Okay, Pavni, start.
I'm Sarthak.
A complex sentence is made up of a main clause that is complete in meaning by itself and one or more subordinate clauses that do not make complete sense by themselves but provide extra information about another clause. Example, they stopped when the sun set. They stopped conveys complete meaning by itself. When the sunset does not make sense on its own but tells more about the bold words. Also remember the main clause does not always come in the beginning of a sentence. It can be either in the beginning as in sentence 1 or towards the end as in sentence 10 of a sentence. It can also be split into parts as in sentence 4, 5, 6, 8 and 9. So be careful while locating the main clause.
Very good. Understood or need to explain? As we,
No,
as we saw in the example, that it is not important. It is not necessary that main clause always comes at the beginning of the sentence. It may be divided. It may be split. So many sentences are there, no? Where they are split. Sentence number 4. What is there in sentence number 4? The girl who was from Delhi won the crown. So the girl is starting and won the crown at the end. 5 also, the man whose car was stolen had to stay in the police station. The man had to stay in the police station. So subject is in the beginning of the sentence and rest of the sentence, finite verb at the end of the sentence. In the same way, it is in worksheet number question number 6 also. The movie that we saw was boring. The movie was boring, and in between came that we saw. Sentence number 8. The lady whom we saw yesterday is my neighbor. The lady was my neighbor, and in between came the dependent clause, that is whom we saw yesterday. In the same way, worksheet number 9, question number 9 of worksheet number 1. The bridge which was built a year back has collapsed. The bridge has collapsed. Mention a main clause, and in between came the subordinate clause, that is which was built a year back. Understood? Do we have time to start worksheet number 2?
No, ma'am.